Good morning, everybody. It's been a interesting week, to say the least. Um, from major banking issues to bailouts to people like Kayleigh McEnany coming out and kissing the ass of Mike Pence. The hell is that about? Uh, you've got Bill Mitchell. Most of you probably don't even know who he is because he's irrelevant, but he's been crying all week. You've got RDS, the Ron DeSantis people. Man, they could not sound any more like liberals lately. In fact, I would argue that most of them probably are. You got Fatso Braggs and his BS case, and the liberals applauding it, which is asinine because little do these fools know. They do it to us today, they do it to you tomorrow. So keep applauding the use of the justice system as a weapon, and we'll see how you like it when it's your turn. But before we continue, first, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video sponsor is Augusta Precious Metals. Is the Biden economy hurting your 401k or IRA? Well, help is on the way. Request the free gold IRA guide that persuaded Mark Levin to diversify his retirement with gold and precious metals. According to Mark, they won't just sell you, they'll educate you so you can make your own decision. Many of my supporters love Augusta Precious Metals, and you will too. Get yourself the free gold IRA guide at kofefi.click/IRA. kofefi.click/IRA. Okay. Now, I know you just saw the ad for Augusta Precious Metals, but if there was ever a time to get your 401k and IRA out of the stock market, the time is now. I don't want to ever say I didn't try to warn you. A lot of you guys have done it, and good for you. Very smart. Anyway, it's amazing how fast this Fatso Braggs, I mean, I don't even remember his name right now. I hate when that happens. In the middle of doing a video, and then you get a major brain fart, Alvin, or whatever the hell his name is. We'll just call him Fatso. I think that's got a better ring to it anyway. So the Fatso Bragg story, AG Fatso, never met a Twinkie he didn't like. Anyway, he pushes this fake, indictment and charge, bullshit grand jury, and people quickly run away from the banking story. Guys, the banking story's big. They don't want us going near that with a 50-foot pole. What do you think all this other spectacle is about? I mean, yeah, in my opinion, I think they're just trying to figure out how the hell they're going to upgrade this misdemeanor charge that's not even a crime, and now all this other information came out. They're trying to figure out how to take a 2-year statute of limitations and apply it to a 7-year crime. Now, making some felony allegation only rises that to 5 years. I don't know, math, 7 is a little bit bigger than 5. So I think they're trying to find a way to make this happen. Not that facts matter, but I mean, you got to kind of, you got to sell to the people a little bit. But that story, as asinine and ridiculous as it is, because at the end of the day, that helps us. I don't know why we keep talking about it, to be honest with you, thinking about it now. Because the bank story is the one. I know Newsweek, they did a hit piece. Of course, they had to include me in it. Not that I give a rat's ass. But it was about the idea Jack Posobiec had about doing an organized bank run to give them this. I think it's a good idea. I still think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a perfect idea. I think, though, the thinking along the lines of that is genius. But nonetheless, because I stated something similar to what I just did now, they wanted to include me in a hit piece and whatever. Anyway, that's fine. But it shows you that's where they don't want you to look. Um, and I think that we need to be a little bit smarter in our fight. Look, this Trump situation, we all know there's no crime. We all know that they've pretty much made a martyr out of the guy now. They could back up all they want. It doesn't change what they attempted to do. It really doesn't change that. So why do we stay on it? The facts don't matter. I know a lot of people, the documents from Stormy Daniel and Cohen and Trump never knew. We already knew all that, right? The one and only thing that I do think that is interesting, I guess is a good word to use, is the fact that it kind of seems like we always build up to something and then nothing happens. We've been talking about a potential Trump arrest for how long now? A little over a year. And it's like you'll make a little progress towards it, and then it like stalls out, nothing happens. It's the same with everything. It's the same with the elections. It's just the same with a lot of these election court cases. Hunter Biden laptop issue. What about the Delaware investigation, right? We were hearing that Hunter Biden was going to have charges for whatever, some tax nonsense, right? But what happened to that John Durham. Where the hell is John Durham? You remember that guy? I mean, it's so long ago, some of you guys might not even remember that there was a man named John Durham. Like, what the hell happened to him? Where is John Durham? Another thing that, like, whatever happened there? There was that whole thing with Greg Phillips, who I suspect was just a fraud, to be honest with you. There's something about that guy I just never trusted from the beginning. He was a bit of an asshole. He blocked me on Truth Social for asking him questions. I mean, but what happened to him? He just kind of, that kind of seems to be the thing that happens with everything. The Russia-Ukraine war, build up, build up, build up, build up. Okay, there's some shit will blow up here and there, and you could kind of see them, building momentum and something going on. And yeah, there's alliances with China. And, I think the biggest part, once again, right? See, this is the thing. Once again, to me, this all seems to come back to money and banking, right? Even take the Russia Ukraine war and, all the sanctions America has put on Russia. And what did they do? They teamed up with China. They've got the BRIC system to compete against SWIFT. They're backing currency by gold. Gold. And the sanctions we put on them haven't hurt at all. In fact, I think Russia might be stronger. And now that they've aligned themselves well with China, not only are they a threat militarily, but financially. And I'm not saying that Russia is this big bad boogeyman. I think we need to stop poking the bear and leave Vladimir alone. Quite frankly, I think, look, I don't want to have the guy over for dinner, but I think a lot of the problems that we have are problems that were caused by us. So maybe if we stop causing the problems, he would just go mind his fucking business and do what he's got to do for the Russian people. Yeah, the guy every once in a while he needs put back in his place. But, and I know you hear this a lot, I'm sure, if you're watching news that's any decent anyway. But the first time Vladimir Putin held back from invading any foreign country was the 4 years Trump was in office. That was the first time in a long time, at least that I could remember, that Vladimir Putin didn't invade a foreign country of some sort. And we could have the argument about Ukraine and the territory dispute and whatever, but it's not really about that, right? But even that, you have military buildup, military buildup, military buildup. Yeah, a couple things blow up here and there, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, the big story seems to be this banking thing with BRICS. What's going on? And as China and Russia are building a new financial system backed by gold, that you could get at Augusta Precious Metals at kofefi.click/IRA. As they're creating a system backed by gold, our system is crumbling right before our very eyes. And we know why that is. They want to bring in this central bank digital currency, which is a terrible idea for many reasons. One of the most obvious is if you look at something like the Chinese, the social credit score that they use there in China, you're controlling what people do. And if you don't like how they're spending your money, you make it harder for them to spend their money if they're even able to spend it at all. And when you think of that in terms of how we dealt with COVID, imagine we had a central bank digital currency during the COVID lockdown days. They wouldn't have even needed to try to push for a vaccine passport. They would have just shut down your ability to spend your own money or take it away. Yet, right before our eyes, our banking system is collapsing. And I know the liberals, oh, well, it's nothing like 2008. Well, that's true. It's 2023. But we're seeing all the same things. Very similar anyway. And anybody with even a partially functional brain could see what's coming. Yet, a lot of us are stuck on this Trump indictment, which doesn't stop him from running for president, doesn't stop us from supporting him for president. In fact, I think it helps. To be honest with you, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. Well, I know. Actually, I know I'm not. Just to give you something open source, there was an interview with Don Jr. and Raheem Kassam, and Raheem said straight up to Don Jr. that he kind of hopes it does happen. I got to be honest with you, so do I. Not because I want the guy to get arrested. Listen, I've been to jail, all right? Not a big fucking deal. It's not the greatest thing in the world. The guy's got the Secret Service. He's not going to go in a damn jail cell anyway. Okay, the food sucks. For most people, I don't recommend it. You'll get beat up. Somebody like me, I like to fight. So, going in there was you could act like an asshole and get it. It was acceptable. I don't suggest it. Settle down. It was for growing plants. Not a big deal. Okay, but I think that benefits us if Trump gets arrested. I see a lot of people they just don't the fight. They don't have that fight anymore. And in my opinion, they're not looking at what we need to do and wanting to do it because it's like they're stuck in no, right? And one of the things I thought was interesting about the Don Jr. Raheem Kassam interview was they were asked about like what we need to do. Don Jr. asked Raheem like what we need to do, and his answer I thought was, to make it short, more or less, we need to fight fire with fire. Um, I was a little bit, a little bit surprised that I didn't hear more of we need to do something to try to get rid of the voting machines. Um, but I think a lot of that is because I think a lot of these guys are under the impression that we're not going to be able to mobilize people to get that done. And to be honest with you, I mean, it's what? Uh, March, the end of March, almost April. And we haven't even begun to do anything because you can't convince people into it, right? And I think that that's really what it is with a lot of these guys. I've said to myself for quite some time, well, why is it that you just can't get a lot of these people to want to do the one thing that we really need to do? An algorithm just switches a vote. Uh, so it doesn't matter how many more votes you get if they just switch it. But I think the consensus with a lot of people is it's an unrealistic thing to do because you're just not going to convince people to do the necessary steps to do it. I sure hope that guys like Don Jr. and Raheem Bannon and others, although I am seeing a rise of people starting to hit up the election stuff. So hopefully, maybe we can get in the ear of some of these people. Because in my opinion, I think that's the only way forward. But I have seen so far this week, Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec kind of start hitting a little bit of the election stuff. Um, I do agree with Raheem that uh, we really need to get a hell of a lot more aggressive. We fight like a bunch of sissies. And despite the fact that I personally think that our target needs to be more doing something to get rid of the machines, I don't know that we could actually have that conversation until something really major, traumatic. I don't remember who the hell I was listening to. I was listening to, oh God, I watched too much stuff. But I was listening to an interview with somebody. Maybe it will come to me as I'm talking. But they were talking. Oh, it was Rudy Giuliani. See? It was Rudy Giuliani. It was one of his podcasts that he did. It was on Twitter Live, I believe. Hold me to that. You could probably find it on his Rumble channel, though, anyway. But somebody asked him about brainwashing. And if if you could snap people out of that. And one of the things that Rudy Giuliani said was that, yeah, you can snap people out of brainwashing, but it's going to take a certain level of trauma. These people need to be shocked out of it. And for me, that trauma, that shock factor is Trump getting arrested, indicted, maybe perp walked. I don't know that you need to go that far, but it would help. It would help. It would get people crazy. It would get people crazy. And I think then you could get it done. Uh, I slightly disagree with Don Jr. and some other people. Look, the dude's a badass, right? People are allowed to disagree. I just think that somebody like Don Jr. thinks that there's no way, we don't have time. We can't get people to do what it takes. A lot of people are, and that's true. I think a lot of people are kind of, there's a lot of this defeatist attitude, people giving up, people rolling over and dying before the fight's even over. And I do think that these guys have a pretty solid point as to why they feel that it's going to be too difficult to get people on board to do it. I think without trauma, without something that really sets that fire under people's rear end, it'll take what, a couple months to get people to do something, and then it'll take a couple months for the state legislatures to even have time to come up with the format and process of what they're going to do. So maybe these guys are right. But at the end of the day, I hope that the guy gets arrested so we can get the fire under everybody's rear ends and we could start doing something to secure the elections. That's all I have to say here. If you would, do me a favor, hit the like button, share this with your friends. Don't forget to check out the sponsors in the description below. You might have to hit more. And don't forget to check out Augusta Precious Metals. Get your free gold IRA guide at covfefe.click/IRA, covfefe.click/IRA. And I'll see you next time. Bye.